Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I, man, here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, Rovi, and MScribe. And today we're going to take a look back at Sonic.
Man, you got opportunities all across the board when, presidential mishaps or whatever. Whatever it is that causes panic in the markets.
Tariffs, dude. Tariffs are bad for markets, apparently.
Yeah, all that stuff, right? Or, crypto reserve mentions.
That and $200 million leverage longs, or no, leverage purchases.
Yeah, that or none of this actually really matters. This is just natural price movements to Bitcoin, and the market follows and creates its own narratives around those price actions.
True. Yeah.
Could just be simply that.
That's true. It could be completely natural, and then you just pick and find events that correlate to that up or down.
Line.
And then that must be the reason why it dumped or it exploded.
Right. Yeah. So whatever it is, actually governs this invisible hand. Nonetheless, as of right now, there's quite the exodus of market belief and value in things. Right. So as we like to say on this channel, those are typically your moments of opportunity. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if you study these very wise men who are experts in these kind of environments.
Yeah.
These are the you're supposed to be greedy, right?
Yeah.
When everyone else is fearful.
That's
and
right.
such. So let's take a look at
Thank you,
Sonic.
Warren, for that.
Yeah, good old Mr. Buffett, dude. Is he still alive, by the way?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I feel like that would have been big news if he died. I would have heard about that, right?
All the markets tanked. Yeah.
I think he exited all his positions a year ago.
He did, yeah. He's holding a bunch of cash. You're right.
Oh Jesus. That might be an ultimate tell of
could be.
Times are you're not gonna look or be very good.
Or he's looking to buy more Coca-Cola or
I don't know. Whatever you do.
Yeah.
To make hundreds of billions of dollars in the traditional markets. But nonetheless, we're in the crypto markets, and so last time we looked at Sonic was what, 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Correct.
Yeah, and everything was looking peachy, right?
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks ago it was
difficult to do because the whole market was tanking, but Sonic was not during that
That's
time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so over the last couple of weeks, it was on the run-up all the way to $3 billion market cap, and now it's about 50% down, give or take.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a juicy little entry point if you're buying into this thesis, right? That, Andre Cronje is bringing something notable into this space.
Yeah, and it is important to mention Phantom is now Sonic. So it's pretty interesting how, this rebrand really brings attention to kind of what you're doing. But yeah. All right, moving on. So we were talking about the liquidity that's been added here, and when we were talking about it, it was in the hundreds of millions, and now it's sort of
still in the hundreds of millions.
You're still in the hundreds of millions, but closer to $1 billion.
Yeah, I mean that's what you want to see, right? Is a continued acceleration of liquidity entering into this market. So there are a ton of markets now, in the context of DeFi. Back in the day when DeFi was first booming, it was basically only Ethereum capturing all that value, but now there's tens, if not hundreds, of other chains that essentially perform the same things.
Yeah.
Right? They have the same primitives that are needed in order to foster a viable market for that ecosystem, right? So Sonic is no different.
Yeah, and so we've looked at some of these projects here as well, and we're going to go a little bit deeper into some of these because there's an impending airdrop for the Sonic token.
Yeah, that's really the point of this video because it's nobody knows what the future holds, right? It might be bad, it might be good. So nonetheless, you want to be doing something, as opposed to doing nothing. So maybe airdrop farming is the thing to do, right?
Yeah, so one of the projects we've talked about was Shadow, and right now it's doing a little bit of a resurgence here for the day. But its market cap is... Where's it at here?
19 million, dude.
19 million. Here it is. Yeah. So yeah, 19 million. It is down from 44 million.
Yeah. So we made the comparison to Aerodome Finance, which is Base's essentially #1 DEX, which did a massive run up. So we're hey, potentially since this DEX is native to Sonic, you could see a similar opportunity there as far as this becomes Sonic's #1 DEX environment. We're talking 100 millions to potentially billions of dollars in market cap value. But somebody's hey, look at that fully diluted value. to having like an actual comparison, right? Because as you can see, if you zoom in on that,
fully diluted 278
million. So that means there's a lot of tokens still left to be released, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then Aave, they say Aave is live on Sonic, a high performance EVM chain. Users can now borrow, supply, and earn incentives. And so here it says the initial list of assets for Sonic market include WETH, USDC.E, and wrapped S or wrapped Sonic. So okay, so the integration was deployed by BGD Labs on behalf of Aave DAO, and so Chainlink is providing a reliable price feed. And so let's take a look at what Stani is saying. His first day and Sonic Aave market filled supply caps. So Stani, if you don't know who he is, he's the guy who started Aave.
Yeah, another one of these DeFi darlings, right?
Yeah,
kind of like Andre himself.
Andre Cronje, Stani, these are the guys you pay attention to for DeFi related activity.
Yeah, so this is a good sign, a good signal, right? That there's energy in this ecosystem. As soon as Aave kind of showed up, like almost immediately,
it's confirmed validity, like importance.
Yeah, so I think DeFi sector across the board is in a lot of pain. Even like the stuff native to Ethereum. I mean, we heard reports from the ETH Denver crowd.
Yeah,
it wasn't like the most, rambunctious of times like it typically is. So sentiment is low. I'm sure there's a lot of like questions in the air. It's like, what do we do with DeFi at this point? How do we, re-inject some vigor and interest into these markets, right, these new primitives?
Yeah.
So Sonic is right there showing that there's some energy in the room. I think you'll see a lot more DeFi integration as a result.
Yeah, so Delphi Digital did a tweet thread kind of explaining Sonic Labs. So let's kind of go through this a little bit here. It says most blockchains are forced to compromise between speed and security and scalability, and Sonic Labs is aiming to deliver top performance with no compromises. So with Sonic, you have high performance, 10,000 transactions per second, sub-second finality. Fees, which is interesting, devs earn up to 90% of the fees to incentivize innovation.
Yeah, I guess we didn't really deep dive into how like they're actually executing on this, because it's like if you're not incentivizing miners as we typically expect in like a blockchain, right?
You don't have a network.
Yeah, then you're sacrificing security, right? So it's like there must be something different about this thing.
Yeah. So we're gonna look at that in a second here, and this is Sonic Gateway native bridge that secures the asset transfers between Sonic and Ethereum. And Innovators Fund, there's 190 million Sonic tokens to incentivize the ecosystem usage, which we're thinking that this is part of like the developer incentive, but also the airdrop here. And then Consensus, it's asymmetric Byzantine fault tolerance. I believe that's what that is, Consensus. And or asynchronous, that's what it is. But talk about what you were mentioning earlier, that this is a DAG, a directed acyclic graph, in combination with a blockchain. So if you guys remember Phantom, I mean, that's how it was designed originally. But now with this like resurgence of interest in Sonic, it's like it's time to understand like how a DAG and a blockchain kind of coexist with each other.
Yeah, it's true. So it doesn't have like this linear
correct
ordering of like transactions, how you would expect like on Bitcoin, right? Or ETH. That's why things are kind of like slow.
It's slow because it's so linear, is that you have to be in the next block in order for the transaction to actually get processed, right? So in this case, as soon as a transaction is made, it's part of this graph, this acyclic graph, and then it's confirmed. But then it gets added to a blockchain just so that it maintains compatibility with EVMs and that infrastructure there.
Okay. Yeah, so this is like not really new stuff. I mean, I remember hearing about IOTA back in the day, kind of like pioneering this whole concept of a DAG. But I guess for over time, I guess people are understanding maybe it's more efficient to do things this way.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, the traditional route, which I think now is a good time to experiment in this direction, right? Where blockchains are kind of struggling as far as like gaining mainstream adoption and such. So why not?
Yeah.
Bring in a whole new architecture.
The mainstream adoption, they expect fast transactions, low fees.
And that's what Sonic provides, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you get with sub-second finalities? Is high-frequency trading, instant payments, on-chain gaming. So Web3 games can handle real-time transactions.
Yeah, we like games.
Yeah, for sure.
We like building on-chain games too, right? We've built a couple of those in the past. And yeah, we've dealt with the problematic nature of like linear chains.
Yeah,
right?
waiting for proof of work to actually work.
Yeah. Yeah, especially on Bitcoin. It's a toughie.
Yeah.
But luckily, we got some pretty smart devs working on some new technical, solutions to these problems, right?
Yeah, co-processing and such.
Yeah.
So we mentioned airdrop earlier. So we have incentives, and so we're going to go into deeper into how you actually qualify for this airdrop, because it goes pretty deep. But Sonic plans to do a 190 million airdrop, which is roughly 6% of the supply to users and developers through incentive programs. The first season will run until June 2025. So we got plenty of time.
Yeah, that's what I mean by things seem desparish, doom-like. There's still things that you can be doing, right? Trying to deploy capital in certain environments, but mitigating risk as much as you can.
Right.
And still, you're actively accruing something, even though they're just points today. But in the future, hopefully, is a valuable airdrop, right?
Yeah, I totally agree.
This is a common theme in crypto, right?
Yeah, so users can earn points for interacting within the ecosystem. You'll be surprised how deep the ecosystem goes. There's a lot of things that you can do to start earning these tokens. So incentive programs, points are split between passive points, points earned by holding specific tokens in your wallet, active points, points earned by actively using Sonic DeFi apps, and gems. Projects earn gems based on user activity, which can be shared with users. So now you have projects incentivizing Sonic utilization that is also activity points and can be passive points. So there's all these projects on Sonic are going to think of ways to, have their community contribute and use their software.
Yeah.
Fee monetization, Sonic shares fees earned by the protocol directly to developers. One common issue with gas monetization is fees wouldn't amount to much when gas is cheap. So Sonic plans to fix this through dynamic fees, which allows for apps to create their own fee structure for app usage. And they have a diagram of the app fees going to the developers and to the Sonic ecosystem. And then some of the projects, Shadow, which we mentioned earlier, concentrated liquidity DEX offering. We got Silo Finance, which powers Sonic's lending markets. BeatsFi, liquid staking solutions for Sonic stakers. And Rings Protocol introduces cross-chain yield-bearing synthetic assets. So look at that ecosystem, dude.
Yeah, it can get pretty complex pretty quick once you start looking into these individually. But yeah, there's all kinds of different strategies and approaches. It's really locking up, native assets like Sonic, and then creating some sort of synthetic version of it. And now you can leverage that to lock that up into something
liquid
else.
staking.
So now you're lending it.
Yeah.
And then that issues you some sort of another derivative token that you can
Yield.
now provide liquidity with.
Right.
So it's you turn one asset into multiple facets of assets at work. And by doing that in a very productive way, you're increasing your point allocation. Right?
That's right.
That's basically what it boils down to. And but yeah, some things to take note of or be aware of is this is still a very young ecosystem. So there could be tons of exploits ahead. So you don't want to fully risk too much in that scenario, right? Because some of these protocols, once the TVL continues to go up, it's going to attract bad actors.
Yeah.
And they're going to look for these holes, these gaps.
Yeah, and the TVL going up is the reason why we're talking about it, because as you can see here, it went from 27 million to 736 million in around 2 months. So that's huge. That's a 20x, 25x. Monthly volume has tripled since 2024, and that's it for this thread. So I definitely recommend you guys go through this one more time just so that you have a basic comprehensive understanding of what Sonic is. And here's the website for the Sonic points. So connect your wallet, and then how to earn points. Remember, passive points, activity points, and app points. And so if you click on one of these items here, it'll take you to the actual documentation, which you kind of go through and get intimately aware of what's going on with Sonic. So what are the methods to actually earn these tokens? So Bankless has a pretty handy tweet here. It says, get started on Sonic, and these are the strategies that you can earn. So one strategy here is looping on Silo Finance. And so, and it goes pretty detailed here, is like, how did this get started, right? So this is probably the most popular and simple strategy to maximize your rewards. It revolves around the following loop. So it's like, get some ST tokens, some synthetic Sonic tokens, by staking S or swapping any token for synthetic Sonic on a DEX. So deposit synthetic Sonic into this lending market from Silo Finance, and then borrow, and then swap, and then repeat steps 2 through the loop.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was referring to. It really is just like, I mean, some people like to refer to this as like Ponzi-nomics, right? This is a good and healthy crypto Ponzi.
Yeah, but we mentioned in the past is like complexity is how you have economics.
Yeah, I mean, if some could make the argument that, like, you know, traditional finance is built around Ponzi-esque financial instruments as well. And we've seen some of those financial instruments, like, you know, blunder and fall apart in the past, and we've seen, like, you know, big ramifications as a result of that. So I would decentralized finance, you know, I wouldn't expect it to be much more different than that.
Yeah, I heard this recently from Elon, and it sort of just clicked to me. He said that Social Security is a Ponzi. Right. So it's like you're leveraging future payments, younger people paying into the Social Security to pay for the old people who are retiring, and then you just keep the system going.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what a Ponzi is.
Yeah. And hopefully not too many people get, you know, alarmed by that, because you need belief to maintain.
Exactly
Ponzi's, right.
You need that belief, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was only one strategy. Strategy number 2 is Euler Finance featuring Rings Protocol. So meet our 2 protagonists, Euler Finance and Rings Protocol. Euler is another existing lending protocol that just launched on Sonic. And Ring is a new meta assets protocol for USDC and others. Users can deposit such assets into Rings. And then it goes into the details of how to do that. And then there's a third strategy, liquidity pools on Shadow DEX.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I've been doing, like personally, just focusing my capital efforts on like liquidity provisioning, just because it's so simple to do, you know, and it's like a very necessary, like, you know, primitive for the overall ecosystem.
So I have a question. So the points, are they based on how much liquidity you're providing? Do you get more points if you're putting 100K versus 1,000?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's factored into it. But there's like multipliers for different pools and such. And most of these apps display that interface. Like, it's a very good cohesive ecosystem. I mean, like, the app developers are all aligned in like this points initiative, right? So like they reflect, it's like this pool gives you this multiplier for the activity bonus, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So it makes things pretty intuitive and easy, and you know, that way you know what your points maxing,
what you're maximizing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean so it's gonna be interesting to see once June hits and like this whole points like incentive mechanism kind of like runs dry. You know, how does the ecosystem move forward from there, right? At that point, you're hoping like organic activity emerges, right, where people are building just because they appreciate the chain.
Yeah, inertia too, right? If so many people are supplying liquidity and all of a sudden June comes around where there's no more incentive, like it's, well, you're already here, there's already activity, you kind of stick it out.
Yeah, hopefully they got some cool games and you know, other new incentive models to keep the liquidity in these devices, right?
Yeah, so these are 3 strategies. Hedging these strategies, a number of the above strategies rely on volatile assets, so basically a warning. And then looking ahead, there will be more and more opportunities to earn points and yield. So like I said, projects are going to be onboarding to the Sonic ecosystem, and they're going to come up with their own ways to, equate activity to points.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, Shadow Exchange, it says, oh yeah, here we go. So Shadow Exchange X33 is whitelisted for the Sonic Airdrop for points. X33 earns both protocol rewards and Sonic Airdrop tokens. So here we have an application that's earning you X33 points and Sonic points here. So what is X33? Is our liquid staking solution for X Shadow and alleviates the weekly hassle of voting. So no more voting, no more management, and just mint X33 and chill.
Yeah, which is always what people want to do, right? People don't want to go around voting for bribes and such. Like it's it's complicated, right? So it's a easy solution. Just convert your X shadow into this like liquid staking device. You just hold on to that and you get trickled rewards. And now, because of Sonic recognizes this, I guess,
yeah,
it's contributing to your overall like grander mission, right? Is to point max for this. You know, we've seen some airdrops. They do pretty well sometimes. Sometimes they're total disappointments. Sometimes they're absolute life-changing, you know, like Hyperliquid.
Yeah.
Most people who were aware of that ecosystem in its early days and, you know, partook, life-changing, right? I'm sure there are several others, but yeah, some not so much. So nonetheless, it's something to do. That's why we're putting it on everyone's radar. And yeah, it's an interesting ecosystem. There is some just DeFi AI development happening on this chain too, with Hey Anon. So that's, you know, you got to keep an eye on that too, see if that snowballs into something.
Yeah, yeah. So finally here, holding X33, you earn protocol fees, voting incentives, exit rebases, and the airdrop points. So again, there's a ton of different strategies here to earn the like Sonic airdrop. And again, I recommend you guys kind of going through these threads and understanding like what you need to do. And on the Sonic website, there's documentation on how all this stuff works. So I appreciate you guys for watching. Lastly, you know, if there's anything that you guys find that, you know, you find interesting, definitely let us know in the comment section below. We check everything. And appreciate you for watching, and we will catch you in the next video. Peace.